Pat Mayo Experience Week 14 spread picks in preview. If you've been following my Twitter, and I've been saying this for a while, we've been running these contests for when I move into the new studio, not this temp studio, which, is not going to be quite as nice as the new studio. There'll be some Pat Mayo Experience giveaways. So for this week, in the comments section, whether you're listening on iTunes, on Audio Boom, wherever, on YouTube, leave your super lock in for the week. And, it has to be against the spread. You can't just be like, I like the Patriots to win. They actually have to cover a point spread here, people. This is how this works. So leave your super lock and your DraftKings name. Do not forget to give the episode a like as well. It goes a lot farther than you would know. Geoff Fienberg, here in studio with me. What's up?
I'm doing great, Pat. And it's amazing how people outside of this universe are unaware of how far those likes and comments do go.
Oh, yeah. It's how people discover the show. Just like people leaving comments that ups it in the algorithm, so when people search it, boom, there it is. It'd be stuff that Tim just doesn't quite understand, would pretend to know how to understand. That would be my assumption, at least. I guess we'll ask him. Back from Miami when he was away, because he is a world traveler, this Tim fellow. And it was, while he was away, the curse went with him. But I have some theories on this. Is Tim under Cust?
Tim under Cust.
That is not my name.
Heard it was.
Well, again, you heard lies. But yeah, I had a tremendous week of picks. Just about everything that could have gone right went right. And so that was lovely to see.
Not only that, so every sort of head-to-head that we talked about on last Monday's show came true for Tim. He had an excellent week in terms of the pick'em. He was 10-6. Your super lock did not come through, unfortunately. None of ours did.
My garbage fantasy team, which we were mocking for scoring 20 and 30 points a week, scored almost 120.
Yeah, he bumped down he beat the best team in our league and bumped him down a playoff spot. Just all of a sudden, all of his guys, Tariq Cohen scores a touchdown. It was incredible. Jermaine Anderkirk had a great week. Who's that other loser on your team that had a good week?
Well, who else played great? We had Jermaine. We mentioned Jermaine Curse. I had Julius Thomas.
Oh, yeah, Julia, you were in person to see Julius Thomas catch a touchdown.
Yeah, I was pretty hyped for that. Marquise Lee went off.
Was the stadium as everything you thought it was?
The stadium is of the NFL stadiums I've been to in my life, bar none, this is the best one I've been to. No debate about that.
You think it's better than the Ralph?
Oh, 1,000 times better.
Were there troughs? Were there troughs to piss in the bathroom?
No, it was very efficient.
Well,
whereas Gillette,
what do you mean it's very efficient? Troughs are way more efficient.
No, troughs are gross. There were not long lineups to use the bathroom. Whereas Gillette Stadium is cold and has no character and is a very sterile stadium. Hard Rock seemed to have a lot of life and verve. And unlike Buffalo or New England, the fans in Miami aren't hateful and nasty. They were there to have
they're
fun.
They're indifferent.
Yeah, they're just hey, it's hot out. This is great.
Yeah, so it was a ton of fun. We were able to get amazing tickets at a really low price, so you can't complain.
Were there more Broncos fans than Dolphins fans?
No, there were not. But I would say it was a split, from what I could tell from the parking lot, was 70-30, 75-25 Dolphin fans.
Was it sold out?
It wasn't sold out, but it wasn't well off from being sold out. We did see someone in a Ray Finkel jersey, which was great.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Was it Blair Walsh?
No, it was not. No, we can talk about Miami later, but things went very well.
All right, here's the thing. So it seems like the curse went on vacation with Tim, or did it? Because friend of the show, Ryan Baroff, tweeted out his definitive rankings of people with the last name Anderson. And Tim was in DFL. And then Tim had pointed out that he had left John B. Anderson off that list. And this is 2 weeks ago. Tim, would you like to explain who John B. Anderson was?
John B. Anderson was an independent candidate for president in 1980 who, before Ross Perot, was one of the strongest independent candidates in terms of election results ever. And in fact, he was part of the reason that President Carter and Reagan only had one debate, because John B. Anderson had to be in the debates because he had over a certain percentage. So he was sort of an interesting footnote in political history.
So Tim was commenting that, where's John B. Anderson on this list? And I comment, the guy's probably dead. Who knows? And we went and looked it up. He was still alive at the time 2 weeks ago. What happened while Tim was on vacation? Dead. Cursed to death. That is your second murder victim this year.
I take absolutely no responsibility for this man shuffling off this mortal coil.
What about Roger Moore? Look what you did to him.
I didn't do anything.
You just happened to binge watch all the Bond Roger Moore movies, and then he died the day after you finished.
That was just a weird coincidence.
So
that might be my Custy.
Is that your Custy? Remember, people, if you use the hashtag Custy on Twitter, you can give us your favorite Andrew cursed moment of the year.
There's so many things, and like the Falcons Super Bowl in and of itself is special, but that's kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall. Do you know what I mean?
The Matt Kuchar ace at Augusta is probably the one that still frustrates me most.
I totally forgot about that one, too. He guaranteed that there would be no hole-in-one at the Master. Then Kuchar made it coming down in the final round. Also, he picked Henrik Stenson as his for sure lock to win a tournament. He withdrew after 2 holes.
Yeah, with the shits in Mexico.
Yeah.
The WGC.
There's a lot of them. I still think that La La Land is my own personal favorite, although for impact on people, this John B. Anderson guy has to be up there. Roger Moore is close. Or Nate Peterman's career.
This Anderson thing, I literally, I lost. Laugh out loud is used a little.
You don't just walk around lolling all day?
I literally, had to. I couldn't breathe. I was dying when I saw the turn of events in John B. Anderson's life since Tim mentioned him.
Now, yeah, it was probably the first time he had been mentioned in a very long time. Now, it is worth pointing out, he was 95 years old. Although I think this gave him the push.
I don't care how old he was.
All right, let's get into the games. Thursday night, or actually we should probably recap before we do that. I mentioned Tim was...
Yes, we should.
Tim was 10-6. The coin was 10-6. I was 7-9. Jeff...
I was
back down the ladder. You were 5-11 pushing. You were the first person to cross 100 this year. Unfortunately, it's 100 losses.
Yep.
You are 83 and 101. The coin and I are both 93 and 92. Tim has surged ahead, 96 and 89. We all lost our super locks. Tim, for the second time in 2 weeks, although he's played 3 of them, hit his free money teaser.
Awesome.
Absolutely fantastic. And I did need the points. This is, it wasn't one of those teasers where I didn't need the points. I needed it for one of the games. So it's good that it hit. Feeling good about it. I love this week of games. I feel really good about this week. So I think we're going to have another winner on our hands.
Remember, you were 4-10 for the year on your free money teasers.
About to be 5-10.
I mean, I feel like last week everything went right for you. That I'd be pumping the brakes a little bit with you this week. No,
it's full speed ahead. In the Super 7, my team is 30-12 the last 6 weeks.
And you're still losing to me.
We are losing to you, but I think we're neck and neck now. We're a game back reviewing or something.
I think you're 4 back of me, actually. I think that's what it is.
It's getting very close. Oh, there's breaking news. The Cleveland Browns have announced that Hugh Jackson will remain their coach for next season.
Oh, I did see another stat that if Bill Belichick went 0-16 for the next 41 seasons, that he would still have a better winning percentage than Hugh Jackson.
That's fantastic.
Thursday night game, New Orleans at Atlanta. We got the NFC South. It looks like New Orleans is wrapping this up pretty quickly with Atlanta losing, Carolina losing. New Orleans beating Carolina last week obviously gives them a big advantage there.
They've beaten Carolina twice. The only X factor here, Pat, is they haven't played Atlanta. So Atlanta trailing by 2 games
could technically get back into it. They have to win both.
Yes.
But I think Carolina beat Atlanta, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
That was Julio Jones dropped the easy touchdown.
Yes, so it would work as in head-to-head record. So I guess Atlanta would take that over New Orleans if they ended up tied, if they had to beat them twice.
The division will be very clear if New Orleans wins tonight.
And Atlanta might be on the outside looking in wild card-wise, too, if that's the case.
Their edge is that, of course, they could beat Seattle in any tiebreak, but they've got to get to Seattle first.
Yes. So New Orleans and Atlanta. Atlanta's a 1-point favorite at home right now. Mark Ingram is dealing with this toe injury. He may or may not play. It looks like he's going to play. It would be the ultimate Mark Ingram that he led you to the fantasy playoffs and then didn't play week 14. I'm kind of hoping what happens is that, it's all just a decoy and you play Mark Ingram and then Mark Ingram doesn't play, and that would just make me so happy. You have no idea.
Wouldn't it? But Lattimore appears to be playing.
Yes, Lattimore looks like he's going to play.
And Armstead as well, I want to say.
I didn't even look that far into it. I saw Trufant's playing for the Falcons.
And it seemed like a lot of these key Saint players didn't play Sunday in an effort to be in a better position to play this week.
No, so they was like, we're going to walk over Carolina.
I don't know if that was it, but they were in no position to play last week, so they were, I guess, holding them out for this game. Atlanta clearly desperate. I mean, that's really the angle I feel when wanting to bet Atlanta's. This is almost their season at home on Thursday night.
I've had a really rough record with the Saints this year. Like, every time that I'm all in on them, they don't cover. And every time I'm like, oh, no, this is definitely a trap game for New Orleans. They go and blow the doors off someone. Like, they've been one of the teams I've been wrong about the most all season. But I'm feeling the same way as you. I think this is a spot for Atlanta to win this game. I mean, it's a 1-point spread. If they win, they cover, basically. Tim, do you have a lean here?
Yeah, Saints, big. I think the Falcons are done. I think we can bury them. New Orleans has got everything. The Saints are just as desperate. The Saints probably can't get a bye because of the loss to Minnesota, and they I don't know if they even play Philadelphia this year. So the Saints need to keep racking up as many wins as humanly possible to try to avoid playing in this round. Whereas I just think the Falcons they're just a mediocre 9-7 team that in this year's NFC can't get it done. I think last week was a week they had to prove something against the Vikings, and they managed to score 9 points at home. I'm sorry. They're done. Give me the Saints. I think the Saints wax them.
Give me Atlanta.
Okay.
I'll say this about Tim. If someone has a great deal of time in their life, what is the record of a team he proclaims done the very next game?
Ooh. Or teams that he proclaims,
quit,
or teams that they're on a bye before the bye because the game's so easy.
I will say this about, we're finally in December with some, finality. You can kind of put nails in coffins.
Has Atlanta been really bad at home this year? I feel like they have.
Well, they laid
lose
the
to
eggs,
Miami at home.
Well, they laid the eggs to Buffalo and Miami, playing like a half with huge leads in those games. The thing is, which makes Minnesota's victory that much more impressive, and Zimmer gets all the props and Xavier Rhodes, is even through Atlanta's struggles, a lot of the yards per play, a lot of the Sharps really liked them because they were leading the league in yards per play, and that's sort of what led that big line swap on the Monday in Seattle. So people still do believe in this Falcon team. I hate Thursday night football.
As I found out after super locking in Washington last week, I myself do not like Thursday night football.
I'm just blindly taking the home desperate team. This is a game that I don't want to bet.
Yeah, this is a stay-away bet for me as well, but I'll take the Falcons -1 at home. I just want to see them win to make this division competitive. Because if they win and Carolina wins, it's a race again.
Yeah, and anything to keep Detroit and Green Bay
away from my screen. Although I think Tennessee and Jacksonville play Week 17.
Chargers and Oakland play Week 17.
Yeah, see, those are much better games to put into prime time, and it works out better.
You don't want to hear it, but I think that Lions game is going to be a playing game for the Packers. And if you can get Aaron Rodgers on Sunday night, he's your always first choice.
You know what, Tim? Go fuck yourself. Quit trying to ruin my New Year's, you piece of shit.
I have no control over anything.
Nah, now my day is ruined. Now I'm just going to be mean the entire time.
Oh, yeah, how will that be any different than
No, you wait. You wait and see. Chicago at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 6-point favorite at home. A lot of people gambling aside, off the top, a lot of people are playing Cincinnati's defense this week as a really good streamer for fantasy in round 1 of the fantasy playoffs. And I think that they're like a capable streamer. The problem with streaming against Trubisky is the Bears don't pass ever. Even when they're losing, they don't pass. And ideally what you're looking for in a fantasy defense is a team that's going to drop back 45 times, and you get the chance to sack them. Yeah. They can throw picks.
And you hope they're down 2 scores in the fourth, and it just creates,
You just create havoc on the quarterback, and it leads to turnovers. Like, a lot of people, and I understand the reasoning behind it, like, hey, Chicago might only score 3 points in this game. That's great, but, like, it doesn't really do you much. Like, unless you get a shutout, which is really unlikely, unless you're the Ravens, apparently. Like, let's say Chicago scores 7 points. Like, that's good for 3 fantasy points? Like, you want those sacks. You want all that. So, I mean, they're like a top 10 defense for me, but they're like 9. I wouldn't go out of my way to be like smash Bengals this week. I actually like the Bears defense a lot, too. Great defensive line against really poor offensive line. And I feel, and Tim, maybe you're with me on this, that they might just be defeated after that Monday Nighter.
Yeah. I'll interrupt him because he throws the quit thing and the done thing around a lot. I don't nearly do it as much, but this is my main concern here. As I mentioned in the last game, we're in December. So, we'll pick on Tim when he throws teams are done in September and October. We'll laugh. But that Bengals loss, blowing that lead to the rival on Monday Night Football, I don't got much else here other than to say, based on all those factors, the Bengals are done. I'll just take the Bears.
You're going to take the Bears. I'm going to take the Bears, too. They still possess a top 10 pass rush versus a bottom 10 offensive line. I think they can create enough havoc in this backfield and disrupt Andy Dalton that, Bengals by 3 kind of thing. Maybe they lose outright because Tim's main squeeze, Tariq Cohen, returns something for a touchdown. I don't know. I just think it's a 17-14 game.
But bless A.J. Green and his saving my life on Monday.
I got you in the first round of the playoffs in our other league, too.
Me and Pat play in a Canadian Experts League in a playoff match.
It's a real loose term of Experts League there.
Sure. I was invited to it as someone messaged me, do you want to join this Canadian Experts League? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, why not?
You consider me? Yeah, exactly. I'm in it. That's a loose term. That being said, AJ Green, there was 7 end zone targets for AJ Green in that football
That happened
game.
to DeAndre Hopkins last week too. Lost in his eight catches for 80 yards on 16 targets. 5 of them were in the end zone. He had a touchdown called back. It sucked. I lost a bet to Leone over it.
As did Green. Green should have had 3 touchdowns. They called a real chinty penalty against the Bengals.
And Tim almost mushed that game.
Almost.
We're
going to get a large dose of Gio Bernard, it looks like, too, because Joe Mixon's probably not going to play. Tim, the coin likes Cincinnati. Do you like Cincinnati?
I do. They're the first end of a 5-team money line parlay.
Oh,
I think the Bengals...
Getting big for your britches here with your money line parlays.
Yeah, I got no faith in the Bears or Trubisky. I think if the Bengals can put up 17, the Bears cannot score 20. So, yeah, I had the game marked at 27-10. This is in super lock contention. I think Cincinnati eats them up and spits them out.
Is this a fade on Chicago? Because you are so... This last game, you like New Orleans because Atlanta is, done. When they're clearly not done based on having 2 head-to-head games. You are now picking a team that, do you believe Cincinnati is still in it? Is this a fade on Chicago? What are we going with?
With 7 wins and a game left still against the Ravens, the Bengals aren't officially dead yet. 7 wins in the AFC is not totally, absolutely dead. So,
and their quarterback's excellent.
And their quarterback is having a really, really good season. Unrealized by anybody,
perhaps.
Last
week it was an excellent season.
He is having an excellent season. He is having, perhaps I'd have to look up, but he may be having his career best season.
His career best season was 3 years ago.
Okay. He's still having a really good season. He's a darn good QB. But, yeah, that loss against the Steelers hurt in what was just an ugly, dirty, nasty football game. I think they get off the mat and they beat the Bears up pretty good.
All right, so same as the Thursday night, you and I are on one side and the coin and Tim are on the other side. So Chicago for the 2 of us. Cincinnati, what's the line on the Cincinnati money line? Minus what? 200?
Yeah, something like that.
See, here's the thing. I'm looking for a game to make a heavy bet with the Chargers money line. I need a 2-teamer, and I stared at the Bengals and...
I wouldn't be too quick to start pounding the Chargers here.
That's just how I do. But I don't want to lay points, so I need
something
Bengals
to parlay
laying it's minus 270.
Oh, so all right. So minus 270 Cincinnati, first leg of the money line parlay. Up next, Dallas at the New York Jumbo Giants. Giants are 4-point dogs at home. Eli Manning back under center. Sterling Shepard may or may not play with a hamstring injury. I thought the Giants should have beat the Raiders last week. They looked better than the Raiders, and they were playing Geno Smith. I think they can beat Dallas here. I'm going to take the Giants +4 at home.
Agreed. Giants are the play. Dallas got a nice win on Thursday night, but we don't know.
And the thing is, they got a nice win Thursday night, and because I went to the Disaster Artist last Thursday night in lieu of watching the second half of that game, so I was able to skim through it the next morning when I got back. They did not play well in that game. Alfred Morris ran the ball somewhat effectively. Dak looked terrible.
It was essentially almost the Charger game again, where Washington gave them a mulligan through the whole first quarter. It was a turnover and a punt
and a fumble. All Jamison Crowder related
all taking
things.
Points off the Washington board, and then Dallas was able to answer the bell. Here's the thing. The Giants...
Sean Lee's back.
With Sean Lee back, I'm going to pick Dallas here. it's not really about them, the fact that they're playing for something. It's more
Are they playing for something?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
they are.
Absolutely.
They're not making the playoffs.
Either way,
Especially when they lose this week.
with the extended rest off the shortened week, their offensive line seemed to be healthy last week, which is almost enough for me to want to take them in this game. Between the Eli news of 2 weeks ago,
Eli revenge.
between the Eli news of 2 weeks ago and the coach firing this week, for their deal, like there's got to be a lot of mental exhaustion and energy.
I think they're happy to have McAdoo gone.
I agree. I think it goes the other way. I think the Giants stand up tall for the new staff and knock their arch rivals out.
Yeah,
cold.
back up Eli, get him going. I think Evan Ingram's going to be a big problem for Dallas.
I'm taking Dallas. Again, whether they wanted McAdoo gone or not, it was for a team that sucks and doesn't have wins. It's been 2 consecutive weeks of a lot of energy being wasted on questions, whether it be the quarterback or the coach.
So, Tim, you're with me on the Giants?
Yeah, I think this is like Big Blue's Super Bowl. Like they play the Eagles in the last week, who may have nothing to play for. So this is like the Giants'
How many
last
Super
big
Bowls
game to
does a
get up
team
for.
get?
Like 5.
No, I'm not like picking on Tim here, but you hear like when they played the Giants in prime time like a month ago. It's like,
I
season's
don't
over.
think the teams want to beat one team more than they want to beat the other. I think they just want to win every game.
I think you saw on Monday night that some teams certainly want to beat other teams more than others. I think we put that line.
Cincinnati clearly did not want to.
That those two teams wanted to beat each other more than probably any two teams.
No, those teams wanted to hurt each other more than any two teams. It didn't seem like it had anything to do with winning.
That's fair.
It's just the Giants will play a scummy game, keep it close. Is Dallas's best player back yet? Dan Bailey?
Yeah,
He was back. So I mean that could be the difference.
Bailey
here.
was back Thursday night, correct?
All right, so that could be the difference here.
He was actually back for the Charger game, but they didn't
use him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna take the Giants. You're on Dallas Island here. The coins with Tim and I.
I hate that.
Detroit at Tampa Bay. The actual betting line for this is off because we don't know the status of Matthew Stafford. He's likely to play. His hand is not broken. It's just giant, like that guy from The Simpsons. So he's going to write all the plays on it.
Or like your hand after carrying that hockey bag in Tennessee.
Oh, my God. Was it your hand, too, or was it me and Butts?
It was you and me, but my hands are big, but yours were significantly bigger somehow.
Yeah, we went to Bonnaroo. I'm not used to, like, what in Canada we would call, like, 40-degree heat. And it was super hot, middle of June or July, and we had to carry the tent, all our supplies, in a giant hockey bag for like 2 straight miles, and like my hand swollen, like it just looked like a big mitt. It was awful. And then it went down the next day. But either way, so the game's off. We have it as a pick'em because that's what it is in the Super Contest right now. The lines were set earlier in the week. Jameis going to play. Stafford, like I said, probably going to play. But
if Stafford plays, what's the line? It's still not going to
close.
cross.
Yeah, but what if Stafford doesn't play? What is the line?
Is it Riddick, the Michigan guy?
Rudock?
Sorry.
Riddick's the running back. Yeah. But Amir Abdullah may or may not play. I don't think that's a real big loss there. But like, it's a hard game for me to figure out. I would prefer to see Detroit lose. I'm not going to lie to you. That would be good news, right, Tim?
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay's going to win the game.
Just like when you thought they couldn't beat the Jets under any circumstance?
Whatever. I'm wrong all the time. What do you want me to say? Even though of all the people making picks in this contest, I'm having the best one. But anyway, I like Tampa to win the game. Detroit outdoors, not a great spot. Detroit's a team that cannot be trusted. They're in that group of teams that Detroit, the Bengals, the Chargers are untrustable under any circumstances. When they need a big win, they don't get it. They're not going to get it. Tampa Bay is gonna win the game, and what could be sort of an interesting game. A game you think, I don't want nothing to do with that on TV. Bet you this is going to be one of those games you're going to watch more on Red Zone than you thought you were going to.
You think it's going to be a high-scoring game?
Yeah, I wrote it down as 31-27 for the Buccaneers.
All right, if that's the case, you want to stack this game on Draftkings. That's a high-scoring game. It is. Not like, it'd be like if you were just all of a sudden be like, you know what game's going to shoot out in Week 13? Jets-Chiefs. I don't think anyone really saw the over like doubling in that.
Yeah, what a shame that game went that way.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even. All you had to do was not watch the Jets, and they explode. Were you like streaming it on your phone at the stadium?
It's actually a freaking shame that the team he declared was like done for, quit, nothing left. They don't play for their coach. had to come up with such a huge victory.
I know.
This week. It's,
big shocker on that one.
Big. I hate this game, the one we're talking about now.
Which side do you take? Because I have the coin is taking Detroit.
I don't have a clue. Tim's on Tampa. I know he's not really high on Detroit. I feel part of, the Detroit fade this week is they are done, right?
Who?
The Lions?
No. I mean, they're not less done than the Cowboys are.
They're in the same spot the boys are, yeah.
Like, they kind of have to win out. And I do think they win this
Aren't
week.
the Cowboys over 500?
No, they're 6-6.
No, both teams have 6 wins and 6 losses.
So I'm going to take Detroit here. Hopefully, a mediocre Stafford. A mediocre Stafford is basically Jameis Winston anyway. And one of the reasons that Detroit struggles a lot, they struggle against teams with good defensive lines that can get into the backfield. Tampa has the worst pass rush in the NFL. So
yeah,
even
you're selling me there.
And just the skill, like if Darius Slay can minimize what Mike Evans does, Mike Evans has been like a train wreck.
He's over a year now without a 100-yard game, unless he had one last week that I didn't really track.
He didn't have a catch in the first half last week.
So something's really wrong there. And I mean, you were so high
on him last year.
Last year, you had him higher than a lot of big name.
And this year, I had him lower than everyone else. And Dez pulled ahead of Mike Evans in our bet, Tim.
That's fine. Julius Thomas caught a touchdown. So
yeah, but he's still trailing Austin Hooper by over 10 points.
Yeah, and I'm going to take Detroit here because you said it. Tampa's secondary might be the worst in football, and their D-line's putting zero pressure. That's sort of the recipe for Stafford to...
I like this Tion Green guy, man. He's the first Detroit running back I've seen in some time that looks good carrying the ball.
It actually is...
He trucks people.
Darn good back.
What's that?
Theo Riddick is a darn good back. I won't hear of it.
Yeah, but Theo, you're not going to... Listen, Tim...
Theo Riddick
even though your Notre Dame bias is coming in here, I agree with you. I think that Theo Riddick is a very valuable running back to have, but he's not a guy you're going to turn around to.
He's not the guy that's finally going to break the 100-yard streak that they haven't had in years.
Yeah, he's more likely to get 100 yards receiving than rushing.
And that's what they need, and it's so hard. In my opinion, evaluating Stafford in the big picture is incredibly difficult because he's never had any running support.
Yeah, but you know what? Don't pay the guy $25 million then. Maybe you can afford a running back and an offensive line.
That sucks. That contract, as we sort of seen in modern NFL,
you have to pay it.
Is a product of timing.
Yeah.
Flacco got one.
And
Eli got one.
And these are all middle of the pack. But they're all middle of the pack quarterbacks. So you have to pay it, or you have Nate Peterman as your quarterback.
Remember, there was a day 2 years ago for a month where Phillip was the highest paid. It's timing, and no one's timing worked better in life than Joe Flacco's contract expiration. But yeah, I anytime one of those quarterbacks gets those contracts, the media likes to glorify it with the headline, but we're all well aware of what's happening.
I mean, it's the most important position in sports. You're going to pay anyone that can do it, and we've seen people do it so incompetently that if you're competent, you're like, oh, 29 million. Like Kirk Cousins is about to be the highest paid guy,
and Kirk Cousins is up now. So exactly, it'll be very laughable. The numbers. I'm just going to pick Detroit blind. Tampa, they're zero home field.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a pick 'em spread, so this could really go either way. Like I said, the coin likes Detroit. We both like
Stafford
Detroit.
didn't play, would you like?
No. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to bet this game either way, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I look at the skill of the Detroit Lions, the skill position players on the offensive side of the ball. Yes, Mike Evans is pretty good. Maybe Slay can shut him down. Cameron Brate clearly has a rapport with Jameis Winston. That's a good red zone threat. Peyton Barber looked okay out of the backfield. Doug Martin returns this week. He's looked piss poor all season long. On the other side, Golden Tate's good. Theo Riddick's good. Marvin Jones is good. I like Kenny Golladay. Eric Ebron's but he can do something for you.
And here's the thing. I'll give Tim credit. A lot of people were on it, but Tim specifically out of us in terms of Baltimore last week.
Yeah.
And how they really, from the first snap of that game, just took it to a not 100% Stafford and took it to the Lions and really face planted them into that turf last week. That being said, I feel like after playing Baltimore, they're going to feel like they're literally up against Stony Creek or something.
All right, so Detroit for the 3 for you and I, Jeff, and the coin. Tampa Bay for Tim. Next game, Green Bay at Cleveland. People are rushing to the counter to bet the Cleveland Browns.
Outright.
Oh, yeah.
It's been talked about a lot.
It's +3. I mean, just give me Green Bay.
It's the only way to play this game.
Just give me Green Bay.
The line smells so badly. This ought to be Green Bay by 6 or 7.
It was 5.5 to open. People bet it down.
I'm a loser.
One of those spots where You either
People
play
just
the Browns,
want
or
the
you
Browns to win so much.
It's okay.
I don't.
Oh, they can't
I don't
go
think-
0-16.
I don't
Let me tell you.
Packers
Just let me tell you something just for a second. These Cleveland Browns, they can definitely go 0-16.
They
I don't
should.
think so, man.
I'm going to take
Look,
Cleveland this week.
The Browns are the best player on the field. His name is Josh Gordon. He's a superstar. He's a top 5 receiver the rest of the way.
That was
Talk
the other
about-
one you were right about. You were right about Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon is anyone who's in the fantasy playoffs, you got to play him. There's all kinds of top 25 receivers I'd be benching for Josh Gordon this week. They've got the best player in the game because Rodgers is hurt. So the Browns have that advantage. You think the Packers secondary is going to be able to stop him? I don't think so. The Chargers couldn't slow down, and the Chargers have a really good secondary, and they couldn't slow down Josh Gordon. So good heavens, the Browns are the way to play this game. The Browns are going to win it. The Browns are the second part of a 5-team money line.
Oh my God!
What are they, plus what, like 125?
Plus 150.
Why can't you just?
Well, hey, why don't you just take the 3, man?
Yeah.
Watch them win
But I
by...
think they're going to win the game. Why would I take the 3?
Because when it's tied in the fourth quarter, you won't feel as stressed.
No, I want the Browns to win. I want the plus 150.
Speaking of the Custy, one of my favorite notes that came was people mentioning when we bullied him into putting the Jets on a parlay that
And that's
lost
how
the
it lost.
Tampa game. That's also
Well,
worth noting.
that's his fault for calling it a super lock and then
that
not
they're gonna
putting it on.
and that the other team wouldn't score a point.
Yeah.
That just made us try to talk him into it. Okay, I'm with Tim here. I like Cleveland. I'll take the 3 points. A lot of the betting public is almost blindly came into this week at that 5 or 4.5, whatever the line was, and said, I am not laying Brett Hundley road points, period. That's what I think caused a lot of the sharps to just instantly come on Cleveland.
Yep.
Cleveland played with a lot of effort last week. There is talent there. I saw it firsthand. Hold on a second.
Give me the take you were giving me before. Finish off the take that you were giving me before
I
we
have
came
two.
on.
I have three main takeaways from the game. First one, in my least important, is Kaiser is so inaccurate it's over.
That's the best
It's over.
coverage on Josh Gordon, by the way, is that shitty Kaiser throwing in the ball.
Quickly
So
to Josh.
Kaiser's good. He's finally, for the first game last week, got a real weapon. And
he couldn't hit him. He had him open for 2 touchdowns down the field and overthrew him both times.
The accuracy is so off. I don't know if that's fixable. Like, I've seen rookie quarterback. It looks.
In fairness to him, he suffered like 4 concussions this year.
Correct.
On his game-losing fumble, he also backpedaled into Bosa.
By the way, that's how Green Bay covers this spread.
Okay.
They're going to mount a charge to try to win the game, pick 6 the other way.
That is sort of sometimes how Cleveland
Doesn't cover games.
Yeah, it doesn't cover things. So Josh Gordon was absolutely fantastic. I'll say this, I'm not defending the Chargers secondary. Casey Hayward was left on an island with him all game. Casey Hayward didn't practice all week. His brother passed away tragically in a car accident. He got back Saturday. He suited up. He did all he could. That being said, Casey Hayward, after the game, said Josh Gordon was the best receiver he's played all year. Odell Beckham, I think he said, was the only one better. Odell got hurt in that game.
Hold on one second. Let's not all pretend like Josh Gordon caught 14 passes for 300 yards and 6 touchdowns.
That's
last week.
also
He had
what
4 catches for 80 yards on 11 targets.
In complete one-on-one island coverage. And he's a demon, and he came back without playing a game, and he impressed me. But I have one main takeaway from the Browns, and it's beyond a fireable offense. More than once in that game. And this was even pointed out by during our halftime show I was listening to on radio, Nick Hardwick. They double-teamed Antonio Gates while leaving Keenan Allen in single coverage. That is fireable. Whether that's Greg Williams or Hugh Jackson, that is insane to me. Antonio Gates, I love the guy, Hall of Famer. He's a liability. I don't like seeing him out there. He gets blown over on run assignments. He should never be on the field instead of Hunter Henry. When he is on the field, he should never be double-teamed, period, especially with Keenan in single coverage. So that is deplorable for the Browns.
How about, like you mentioned, it seems like the Browns spent their entire last 2 years just designing plays for Josh Gordon and no one else.
That was one of my main takeaways. Thank you, Pat. Is watching that game, it clearly stuck out that they had designed things for Josh Gordon. But why, without a doubt, they were designing things. If they put that sort of effort in designing plays for their other players, whether it be Duke Johnson or any of their other players, maybe they could have some success also. But without a doubt, you could see watching that game that there was a concerted effort into designing specific routes and plays and play calls for Josh Gordon to get the football.
It's kind of crazy. I like Green Bay to cover this game. Everyone's just pumping the winless Browns a bit too much for my liking. Like, I'm sorry.
I was really impressed with their consistent
moxie?
compete level. That being said, if the Chargers had any semblance of a red zone offense, there's nothing to
How
compliment.
about this? If you just bet against Cleveland every week, you're up money for the year against the spread. I think they've covered like 4 games. Paul, what is it? Bring up the board so the people can see. And then you can see too. 3-9 against the spread this season. And we're going to expect them to cover 3 points all of a sudden? They're not, I mean, they shouldn't have covered the 13.5 last week. Like, give me a break. Give me a break with this nonsense.
No, I guess they should. Well, like, yeah, the Chargers missed field goals.
If the Chargers had scored touchdowns on like half of their 28 red zone trips, they would have been fine.
Okay, the worst teams against the spread this year per RJ Bell at pregame.com on Twitter. Broncos 2-9-1, Browns 3-9.
They ain't good.
Cardinals 3-8-1, Bucks 3-7-2, and then the Raiders and Dolphins round out the worst ATS teams. And going back to when we did the show a couple years ago, Pat, the money makers, Minnesota Vikings 9-2-1.
They won us so much money 2 years ago. I think they finished like 14-2 against the spread. And everyone hated them every single week.
That was Roosevelt, too.
It was, yeah. They were just covered. Well, their defense was so good that year. So you two are taking Cleveland?
We're suckers.
I'm not. I think it's the Packers -3 is a sucker bet.
Everyone's just walking to the window. Give me the Cleveland Browns money line.
Even if Cleveland wins, I still feel like a sucker. And I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think I want a real money this game.
Oh, yeah. It's the only way. Me too.
I'm so putting Green Bay in my Super 7. I might make Green Bay my fucking Super Lock at this point. Give me a break.
No, I'm with Tim.
Indy at Buffalo. We don't know if Tyrod is playing or not, but the super contest line on this is -3 for Buffalo at home against Indy. I don't know what to do with this game. Can LaShawn McCoy rush for 200 yards? Because I think he can.
I wish I had a trend service that I can create. I want to know the Bills' ATS record after they play the Patriots.
Well, I don't have that information.
Because it seems like, no, it doesn't happen in the games.
They gear up and then they gear down?
No, other than last week. Historically, the Bills usually have a good record ATS at home against New England. Last week.
Despite never beating them.
Yes, even never beating them. So they clearly always give a max week of preparation and always get punched in the mouth. I'll take the Colts.
Hey, they beat Jacoby Brissett last time. I think that was their one win against the Patriots in the last decade.
Yeah, I'll take the Colts.
You're going to take the Colts, Tim?
Yeah, I'll take the Bills. I don't care who starts at quarterback. I don't like this Colts team.
You ruined Nate Peterman's career.
I'd like to see him come back and have a great bounce back. And wouldn't surprise me the least if he was to play in this game if he played well. Or if Joe Webb is under center, if Joe Webb played well.
Joe Webb. Oh, we might get Joe Webb in this game?
Well, it's either going to be him or Peterman, and maybe if Peterman is damaged goods, then I guess Webb's the only play they've got left.
Kelvin Benjamin is going to be back for this game, and there's no, we're not for sure ruling Tyrod out yet. Tyrod could play.
No. And either which way you want to slice it, the Colts are a bad team. The weather projection is snowy and windy and cold in Buffalo. Colts are an indoor dome team, and just why would a team that's got at 3-9 who get nothing to play for out in the freezing cold and snow and wind in Buffalo rally and play? I don't know. It just seemed like a spot they won't. Give me the Bills, who have their seasons on life support and got to keep themselves afloat here. I'm
going to take Indy. I have no real feel for this game whatsoever. It could be all shady all the time. Maybe if it is snowy, T.Y. Hilton gets loose and just runs down the field for 90 yards. Like a under in this game? Does it feel like an under?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I feel here.
Minnesota at Carolina, probably the game of the early Sunday slate, I think. I mean, you'll probably say it's Oakland, Kansas City, Geoff, but I think this is the better game. Carolina, 3-point dogs at home. This is a kind of departure from last week where Minnesota was 3-point dogs at Atlanta, another 3-point favorites at Carolina. Is Carolina 6 points worse than Atlanta? Or did the books have Minnesota wrong?
I like Carolina here.
I like Carolina, too.
We were on Minnesota last week. At least I was. Part of that logic was thinking
was I.
Atlanta had the big Thursday nighter this week that would essentially be their season. Minnesota got that big win last week. I think they go into Carolina and struggle. That being said, the way Cam Newton is so freaking inconsistent, it really scares you to play him or to bank on Carolina.
He isn't good. He's not great.
Okay, fine. He might not be good, but he's statistically inconsistent. Whether he is overall good or not, I think he is.
He was good enough to beat the Jets.
He's statistically inconsistent. He was horrible that game. I tried to point that out to Tim. Yeah, the thing is, the way Xavier Rhodes and Mike Zimmer and that Vikings defense made Julio Jones non-existent.
But how does Xavier Rhodes shut down Julio Jones, but the week before gets lit up by Marvin Jones? Isn't that weird?
Maybe, I don't know.
Like Marv's just jamming his hands right past him, catching balls over him. Like maybe I don't know. Like it's a really weird situation. I just think looking at it objectively, Minnesota's the better team. Minnesota has the better defense. They have the better offense. They might have the better players. But just for whatever reason, I think Carolina wins this game, throws a wrench into the NFC playoff picture, and that's the NFL, and that's what we deal with.
How much do you believe in Minnesota?
At a 10?
Like, do you take them serious? Like,
oh, yeah,
that's
I do.
A dumb question.
I think they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders in the NFC.
I got to rewind that because, like, they're not. They're spread savants, and I'm a huge fan.
Like, in the NFC, I think they have an equal shot. I mean, Seattle really impressed me last week, but I don't know how for real they are because they might lose this week. But I think that Minnesota and Philadelphia are on, like, the same level in terms of being good. Like, I think they have the same chance to win the NFC.
I agree, but I'm also potentially excited to bet a Russell Wilson, a Drew Brees, maybe even on the road against these guys that haven't played the big game before.
Potentially. Although, I mean, I kind of dig Case Keenum. He's on the case.
I dig him a lot.
And, like, they have two
Welcome
really...
to the bandwagon. Some of us have been here for a few weeks.
All right, that's great, Tim. I mean, how's your Final Four doing?
Well, so far, pretty solid, actually. Thank you.
So let's see. Tennessee, probably not going to.
Is currently third in the AFC.
Tennessee is going to be the ultimate bet against team in the first round.
Tennessee.
Poor Dallas is on life support. Oakland's out of it.
Oakland, if they win this week, are in first place in the AFC West.
Sucks. They're a bad team. They're almost as bad as Tennessee is.
Yeah, well, so be it as it may, the Vikings and Titans are in very good position, and the Raiders have an outside chance.
If the Vikings play the Titans in the Super Bowl, I won't watch. I'll go to a movie.
You'll watch not WrestleMania. What's on against WrestleMania? Was it the Masters this year?
I don't remember.
I feel like there was something on against WrestleMania.
Usually WrestleMania is the night before the Super Bowl.
No, WrestleMania is in April, Tim.
No. The Royal Rumble's usually the Saturday in that off week between the championship games and the Super Bowl, and Mania's like late March, early April.
So you're taking Minnesota, Tim?
Yeah, I don't like this Carolina team at all. I know the numbers say they've got a really, really good chance to make the playoffs.
That's because you hate Cam Newton.
I just don't think Cam's good. I think Case Keenum's every bit as good of a quarterback as Cam Newton. It's a hot take, but I believe it. I don't know. I watched a lot of that Saints-Carolina game last week. Carolina was not that game. With that score, that game's closer than the actual play was. I just don't find this Panthers team wholly unimpressive. I think the Vikings are an excellent football team. So yeah, you're only laying 3 points with the Vikings. No one believed in them last week. No one believed in them really against the Rams.
No one believed in them. They made my super contest.
When I say no one, I mean the people at large. And as someone who is of and for and leader of the people, I think I can speak for them.
Leader, you've now upgraded to leader of the people.
Yeah, I am. And so anyway, the Vikings are the play here.
All right, Oakland at Kansas City. Kansas City 3.5-point favorite at home against Oakland, who sucks. Give me Kansas City. Boom, make that one easy for you.
Yeah, I mean that's more or less my thought process on this too.
Amari Cooper may or may not play.
Yeah, I don't particularly
Marcus
care.
Peters not playing.
Probably good for Kansas City. Marcus Peters reeks. He's bad.
Sick. More Darrelle Revis?
Yeah, he's probably better.
Okay.
Marcus Peters, one great rookie season with a ton of interceptions. All he does is get lit up other than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chiefs have to be the play. Yeah, the Raiders are not a good team whatsoever. I mean, they couldn't crush Geno Smith under center for the Giants. The Chiefs still have a 67% chance or something to win the division. That's about right. I like the Chiefs to win the game.
See, that's straight mathematics. Well, mathematics, that's a fair point based on mathematics. That's like saying when Charlie Hoffman starts his Sunday with a 4-stroke lead and then gets caught by Ricky Fowler.
After 6 holes.
They still have the same amount of chance of winning. Like, based on, we're tied all through 6 holes. Doesn't work like that.
But you're going to back the Raiders on the
I don't
road?
know who I want to back here. All I know is the Chiefs have
You just want Oakland to win.
Hold on. The Chiefs have no business being favored almost versus anybody when you consider who they lost to recently.
Sure.
This is going to be a high-scoring football game.
I don't think it is.
It's going to be a high-scoring football game. Oakland will keep pace. The 3.5 is sketchy. I'll take Oakland. I'll say this. The Chargers, you could think it wouldn't matter. My math wants Oakland to win. Because that would create more wiggle room for the Chargers.
All right.
Yeah, next week's essentially a playing game for the division if KC wins, because a KC win next week essentially wraps everything up.
KC, off those losses and the games before it, is not that freight train is literally teetering off the cliff.
I lined up to bet against the Chiefs last week. It was like the one decent play I had was taking the Jets. But Oakland sucks.
What's more embarrassing about the Chiefs, and I think this happened to every single person last week, they get out to that 14-0 lead. I look in the room I'm in, and I'm like, oh, crap. It looks like the Chiefs finally caught their, woke. Looks like the Chiefs finally got woke.
Who do you think gets more woke, the Chiefs or Tim?
I declared, listen, stop that. And I also declared that game over at that point.
Oh,
yeah, I think we all did. But you declared it over before it started.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So how does the team that doesn't give a shit about their coach come back from 14-0 out of the gate like that? So you don't even have a clue about your own team.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that it all developed in that way.
He's starting to harness the power of the Andersons.
He can't even read his own team.
But it was Cust week last week. Everything broke his way.
And I have
everything came up Millhouse for Tim.
I have other complaints, but I think we'll get there. I think this is going to be a real high-scoring game.
Yeah, me too. I have it written down as 34-30 Kansas City.
Done.
2010 Kansas City.
The Raiders keep up.
The Raiders might quit.
The Raiders
and the
keep
Chiefs
up.
might quit, and they'll cancel the game.
And honestly, they looked really bad last week. The Giants should have beat them. There's no doubt in my mind, whether it's fair or not, it was a look-ahead game for the Raiders.
All right. That brings us to the midway point. We're done with the early slate of games, which means it's time. What?
No, we aren't. Niners and Texans is an early game.
Oh, my God. I didn't even write that one down. What's the spread?
3.
Houston is laying 3 points into the 49ers.
I really like San Fran.
So it's Houston minus 3?
Me too.
Yeah.
San Fran is the third leg of my money line parlay.
I love this fucking parlay.
I think the better bet in this game is the over.
44.5 is that number.
44.5. I like the over in that.
There is not a more handsome coach-quarterback combo than Shanahan-Garoppolo.
Jimmy G, the best-looking quarterback in football?
It's not even close. Give me the 49ers.
I'll take the 49ers, too, and the coin will take the Texans.
Oh, we almost had our first.
So we have round of 49ers from us. Is there anything to say about this game?
No, not really.
I love watching Garoppolo. I loved his third down abilities.
Yeah, just watch it. Be fine.
So, yes, there's nothing to say then.
All right, so San Francisco for the 3 of us, Houston for the coin. Now that we are at the midway point of the games, that brings us to Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
Again, I don't know what SEO value that has, but whatever.
Do you remember what SEO? Do you remember what SEO stands for at this point?
Search engine optimization.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah, it means when you type something into the Google, how effectively it pops up early on in the search pages.
The Google. Spoken like a true 90-year-old. He was calling 60-year-olds young the other day. That's a young person's thing, or a young person's thing to say, because 60-year-olds would be doing it.
As I was saying that, I realized I shouldn't have been saying that.
Hashtag airport walk.
Yeah, what was that pertaining to?
Oh, we're talking about grapefruit juice, and I said older people can't really have grapefruit juice.
My dad is 75. He loves grapefruit
medication,
juice.
But younger people in their 60s can. And as I was saying that, I realized probably shouldn't have said that.
My dad also loves black licorice.
Really?
Yeah.
Tim's just moving to an old folks.
But like I said, black licorice is from the time where my dad went to a candy store and it was like black licorice or dirt. So black licorice, therefore, became the candy of choice.
So this is what people have been kind of waiting for. We'll get to Tim's whatever he has prepared in a second. But he told us before we came on air that he has muted anyone using the term Bitcoin in his Twitter feed. Or BTC in his Twitter feed. So, Tim, why is that?
I can't look at it over as someone who is addicted to Twitter and is on Twitter constantly. I just can't read over and over and over again. Oh, this with Bitcoin, that with Bitcoin, the other with Bitcoin. I don't care. I don't want to know. I think it's a pig. I don't trust the idea of a currency not fixed to anything in the real world and not governed by a central state regulator. I don't trust it. I don't believe in it. All the power to people who want to pursue Bitcoin, have at it. I don't need to stare at it 24/7 in my timeline, so I'm done with it.
Yeah, but Tim, did you know that you're a moron if you don't own Bitcoin? Because that's just the general impression I get from Twitter.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's not just it seems like there is a trend with the people who are like Bitcoin obsessive. It's not enough that they like Bitcoin, is that they have to proselytize at every point about how you too need to be into Bitcoin. If you're not a Bitcoiner, then there's something wrong with you.
Well, maybe they're trying to help us all out because they know, and I honestly don't quite understand Bitcoin. I really don't. And it's the only thing that's on my Twitter feed besides like football injuries. It's replaced Trump as the thing that people talk about on Twitter.
Yeah, well, don't worry, he'll remedy that soon enough.
The people need to know though, Tim. Are you in or out on Bitcoin? Do you think it's a bubble or not?
I would formally declare that I am out.
So that's great news for you Bitcoin owners out there. Bitcoin is reverse cursed.
It's going to go to like 1,700.
17,000?
Yeah, that's 17,000 within an hour of this going on. I know, listen, I can't really insult anybody who bought in on something and then it's
obviously they're doing all right.
Like
I saw Pizzola bought it like 3 years ago, sold some of it off. Now he's kicking himself.
Yeah, oh yeah, Pizzola's like because we've seen this for years. It was part of like sportsbook transactions.
Well, this is how a lot of people bet in the States to get around a lot of the U.S. gambling laws. They purchased a bunch of Bitcoins so they could bet on like 5 dimes.
Pizzola is quite a savant and he has a stash of Bitcoin, but over the past like couple years, he would sometimes make bets. Like a sprinkle long shot future using some Bitcoin. He took some Bitcoin out to fix his backyard. So yeah, some people are, he's suggesting don't look at the history of when you took out your Bitcoin. That being said, I don't know anything, but I certainly can't bash it. My suggestion is if you've missed the rush, just bet Ricky Fowler every chance you get. It'll feel the same.
In Bitcoin. Then win all the Bitcoins. But even Punter's talking about it. It's like, don't even look at what it is now. Like, he's expecting big things here. Like, don't worry that it was 10,000 yesterday and it's 12,000 today. Because it's going to be 20,000 tomorrow.
That's more like, my bigger issue is more like that. I got nothing at buying it and buying it now, but it's like, you're loot because it's going to be worth like 80,000 a coin or something. I'm not there. I
just honestly I don't know enough about it.
But I think that's what
from the outside looking in. I think this is why the Bitcoin people get very upset about it. That I'm kind of with him. It seems real sketchy. It really does. Like it's used. It's used for like
it is sketchy.
It's used to get around like gambling laws. Like terrorists want to be paid in it.
Yeah, clean money. Yeah, it's a way to like definitely clean your blood diamond money.
Exactly. There are some. I mean, now this doesn't apply to everybody or even most people.
But that being said,
segment of people who are being paid in Bitcoin who are the scum of the earth, right?
I mean, there's a lot of people who get real money that are also the scum of the earth, too.
That's also a very fair point. But I'm just saying Bitcoin, because it doesn't have a national regulator, it's harder to track. It's hard for various states or institutions to be able to use controls to prevent, like, back in the 1970s, the U.S. got rid of the $5,000 and the $10,000 bill.
Do you know what?
Do
you know who that? Oh, Tim. No, hold on. Do you know who getting rid of the $10,000 bill really affected his legacy?
Who, Patrick?
Salmon P. Chase.
They really they get rid of those coins to prevent organized crime from carrying around too much money. I'm just saying, listen, I'm no economics master myself. I don't quite understand Bitcoin, but if something is too good to be true in this world, it almost always is. So the idea that you should buy it today for 10 because next week it'll be 20, call me skeptical. I'm sorry.
I don't know, but the thing is, people were like, oh, can I buy in at 10? And now it's at like 13.5 or 14 in like 8 days. So it's like, I don't know, are they wrong? You get frustrated because you speak to anybody that has a history in banking and institutions, they'll tell you like it's sketchy and all these things. And then the Bitcoin people tell you, well, they're the people ingrained in the system that's failing. So they're just trying
and they need to make this,
they need to keep their system alive. Like, and I don't know. I'm sort of caught in the middle.
That doesn't sound like crazy person talk at all now, does it?
I mean, logically, it does make sense. Like, if that is what was going on.
Listen, like, if it were me and I had the ability, it would be part of a portfolio. But to, like, completely be all in on it, I think that seems silly. But to not have it as part of a portfolio, I think is equally silly.
As someone who is a strong advocate of the gold standard, Bitcoin is running in the exact opposite direction of the type of hard and sound money policy I want to see.
Also, then, I mean, it's going to be worth $40,000 by the time the show ends.
And listen, all the power to the people who are, the wise investors. I just don't need to hear about it 24/7 on Twitter. I do not go to Twitter to hear about Bitcoin. I'm sorry.
I guess. I don't know.
Congratulations, everyone, making bucks.
Yeah, all the
big bucks.
The early adopters, all the power to you.
Tim claims he's an early adopter, though. Where were you on Bitcoin?
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen.
You could be like the Winkle bosses who have like 1 billion Bitcoin.
I'm obsessed with the early adopters and the guys that have absolutely made a killing. I'm afraid for people that bought in at like 11, 10, 12 and like are probably like very nervous. That's like when, that golfer that's like 60-1 is now minus 120 on a live line. And it's like, okay, I think he's going to win. But you're like,
yeah, it's Kevin Kisner standing on 18 with a 1-stroke lead. It's like, whoa.
I don't know. But all people are doing great. And
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Tim, did you have what was your topic of the day? Is it short or is it long?
Well, I can just do a short one if you'd like, and we can leave. We can leave the Miami talk to another day if we'd rather.
Yeah, we can cover that on Monday.
Pardon me?
Do you just have some stories about Miami?
Yeah, so I can leave that till Monday if you'd rather.
Okay, we'll do that on Monday.
So, Michael Leone tweeted something at me yesterday that set me over the edge. There's this new millennial trend where at Christmas time, instead of stringing up real lights around your house, you just buy one of these light projectors you put in your lawn, and it just projects lights that sparkle all over your house, and that supplants, if you will, Christmas lights.
Okay, stop for 1 second. This cannot be a millennial trend. Do you know why?
Why? Because millennials don't own homes.
Yes, boom! Bingo! You just hit it right on the head. Millennials don't have homes to use this on.
Well, millennials do have homes outside
and
of
the ones that own homes don't own
ladders.
Cities.
You mean where people live?
Yeah, no, people live outside of the city. If you're a millennial who lives in the suburbs of Washington or the suburbs of New York, you probably live in a house. Most millennials, like most people, don't want to live.
When you say where are you? Hold on a second. Where are you referring to when you say suburbs of New York? Do you mean New Jersey?
Larchmont?
No, I mean like Sanford and the outskirts. Most people don't want to live in downtown of a city. That is antithetical to most people's desires in life. They want to own a house, and they want to have a lawn, and they want to have some sort of quietude in the evening. They don't want to live in the hustle and bustle of Broadway.
Tim believes that everyone wants to live like it's 1950s, so they can all hate Cam Newton together.
No, they want to live they want to have like an urban job, but they want to have a suburban or exurban home life. Perfectly understandable. That's just human nature.
I mean, everyone wants jobs that won't exist 5 years from now. That's the plan.
They'll commute. That's what I'm talking about. And thankfully, most people still do commute because no one wants to live directly in the middle of downtown.
What is commute?
Like they'll travel outside of
you mean commute? You psycho?
People who work in Toronto, they want to live in Oakville, or they want to, getting outside of the city itself. You're getting me up past my point, which are these stupid lights, where these millennials who are too busy on their Uber Eats and their Pinterests to, actually string up lights like a grown-up. That takes you one afternoon, one weekend to put up real lights, string them up, light it up. If you're going to now, I'm not saying you have to put up Christmas lights. You don't have to. I respect the people who choose not to put them up. But you either put them up or you don't put them up. You don't half-ass it. If you're going to put them up, you take the time and the effort and the attention to string up real lights to put them up so they look nice for both your neighbors and for yourself, because you have some sort of pride in your work. To buy one of these spotlights that sprinkle colorful lights on your house, which are becoming more and more popular all the time, is just sloth. And it is inexcusable. And I think those people should be ashamed of themselves.
You know who does this? Noted millennials, my grandparents.
They don't put up real lights?
No, they switch. As soon as these things came out, they switched to that. Because, my grandfather would put up lights, but then he would just leave them up all year round. They just wouldn't turn them on because he was too lazy to go take them down. So now they have to do this. They can plan it. You can have different lights on your house. You can turn it off at a certain time. What I would like to see, and Tim Butts, if you're listening to this, I think you need to get on this. You talk a lot of stuff about people hanging up their fucking lights, Tim. I want to see video of you hanging up lights on your house. Don't break your neck.
I could do that.
No, you can't. As someone who almost qualified for Canada's worst handyman, I would like to see this. I could sell that as a fucking comedy special.
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty good at it, but let me now...
No. I want to see you do this.
Okay, I mean, not hard to clip lights up.
It's a lot of big talk from you. Do you even know how to use... Can you open a ladder? That would blow my mind if you could do that.
Yes,
As someone who once greased the bottom of the pan and put it on the stove, or the guy who bailed out water from his washing machine because he didn't realize it filled up with water and drained out. You're going to use a ladder and hang up lights on your house without assistance, just you doing it. Do you even know what would go into doing that? Could you go to the store, to the Canadian Tire, and actually get the right lights for your house?
I think I could.
I want to see it filmed.
That washing machine thing is amazing.
But I now should put out the caveat that, of course, there are certain exceptions where people are allowed to use these projector lights. If
like you, because you can't actually hang up lights?
No. There are some reasonable exceptions that must be made. If you're an elderly person and you can't put up lights, or it's unsafe for you to put up lights, that's fine. Or if you're a person who has a disability or a handicap and you're unable to put up the lights, then I understand. But if you're a normal, younger or middle-aged person with a home and you want to put up lights, just put them up, man. Come on.
What do you make of people who pay people to put up their lights?
Top notch. If you can pay people to do anything and you don't have to do it, you're a winner in my books.
I could put up those lights.
I want to see video of it. Just like when you said, I could do a cartwheel, and you were a fucking liar.
These are just your string of lights that you're putting on the balcony. It's not that hard, man.
What do you mean on the balcony? No, we're talking about putting up lights on your house, Tim.
Yeah, on your house, your balcony, and the...
around the roof, like where it goes.
So he's planning on putting it on his, stoop railing.
Yeah,
and then
out his window and calling it a day. Yeah, real good-looking lights. Why even try at that point?
And you could string them, also.
Put up your fucking lights, you coward! Do it!
Yeah. You
can't because all of a sudden we're going to see you with the lighting thing out front because you both qualify as physically disabled and old.
So you're okay with these spotlight sprinkles that imitate real lights?
You know what? I don't give a shit. It doesn't bother me. Let people do whatever they want to do. Why do you have a problem with it? And it's something that you can't even do yourself, yet you're telling other people that they should do it.
It incenses me.
Is it because you can't do it, and that makes you mad, personally feel bad about yourself?
I can remember a time not that long ago with Easy Longing where people would string lights outside.
You mean when the technology to do it much easier didn't exist? Now there's no upkeep. You don't have to go up. You don't have to risk danger by walking up on a ladder. You can just buy something, plug it in, turn it off whenever, and when you clean up after Christmas, boom, you pick it up, you put it in the garage, and you go on your way. Takes 10 minutes.
What do you think, Jeff? You haven't weighed in.
He doesn't celebrate Christmas.
I'm Jewish.
Well, yes.
I enjoy it. I love Christmas, though, and I love Christmas lights. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm kind of annoyed that you getting like tweeted about something last night like makes your case here, as opposed to natural habitat Tim.
Well, as soon as I read about it, I then started doing some research about it, and it's becoming very popular.
Yeah, I think you might want to do some research on like how to deal with a broken neck after the fact when you try to put up these lights.
Listen, I am a competent person.
No, you're not.
You're selling me short here. I'm capable.
Listen, I am setting the expectations so low for you in this endeavor that if you actually hang up a light and it's on camera, like I will just be flabbergasted. I'll be stunned, and I think the people will too.
The people have, as their leader, the people have complete faith in me.
Like most Jews, I'm jealous of Christmas.
Really?
Well, it seems awesome.
Yeah,
Hanukkah.
You can celebrate Christmas if you want, and then you get Jewish holidays too.
Well, that's like the greasy wheel. Like we got all our Jewish holidays, and then they're sort of scattered throughout the year, and we get those days off, and we get your day offs.
Don't look at me.
No, I don't know. Christmas just seems so. Yeah, it just seems happy and awesome and joyful.
If someone wishes you a Merry Christmas, are you like Millennial Tim who is just offended by it?
I'll say this. I truly believe as a non-observer that there are elements of a real war on Christmas.
Really?
Yeah. I witnessed that firsthand.
Maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Sure.
Because that was Cust Corner.
Wouldn't call it that.
Now, guess what we're talking about? The New York Jets!
All right, let's talk about it.
They are at Denver, +1. Denver, as we mentioned, one of the worst teams, if not the worst team, against the spread this season.
Tim thinks there's a playoff run in the Jets.
Oh, he does now, yeah. After saying that there was no chance of it last week. Doesn't this feel like a Jets loss?
It does.
Does it just reek of a Jets loss?
I got Denver.
I got Denver, too. Tim?
Last time the Jets had a big win, they shot the bed so hard the following week.
Well, as somebody who firsthand watched these Denver Broncos play last week and who's off, they gave up 2 safeties to the Miami Dolphins. Not 1, 2. And they were both terrible. They're only offensive points. There was a field goal, and then there was an interception touchdown. This Broncos team has got nothing. You talk about a team that, like, their coach is going to be fired at the end of the year. That's become pretty obvious. This is a team that they don't have a quarterback. They don't have an identity. They don't do anything well. The Dolphins are terrible, and the Dolphins absolutely ate them up. Like, now that they're hosting a Jets team coming off a big win. Listen, the Jets are not great, but the Jets could win a few games and at least play spoiler down the stretch, if nothing else, which is really all I can hope for. This is a game the Jets should win. The Jets are a markedly better team than the Denver Broncos. They're better at almost everything and in almost every way, which is more of a sort of a criticism of the Broncos, perhaps, than praise of the Jets. But the Jets will be the next end of a money line parlay.
Okay, I got something with your parlay. You need to take the Bengals off it because it serves zero purpose existing on such a
close, like, coin flip parlay.
Coin flip parlay that pays so well. Like, if you make this ticket and you remove the Bengals, I don't think it'll do much to your payout.
Listen, this is what Tim does. This is like Tim still is the idiot who plays pro line.
See, the Bengals are free money.
That's the thing. He thinks things are free money, and then he puts these low multiplier things that have no purpose of being on a parlay, and that's the game that loses it for him.
This parlay is multiplying exponentially with every game he's putting on it.
And the Bengals game isn't doing a whole ton to that.
Isn't doing a whole lot. All I could say to Tim's case about the Jets.
They are better than the Broncos. I'm not denying that. I just think they're going to lose.
In my opinion, he has completely misread the Jets for a handful of weeks now.
Yeah, you were really good with the Jets weeks like 3 to 5, and I think you've been wrong about them every other week.
I agree. They're probably the hardest team in the NFL to get a handle on, in all honesty, because they could,
not really. They compete really hard at home.
Wins, but they could have 8 or 9 wins, but they could have lost some other games too. Like, they're a very tough team to figure out. They don't do anything great, but they don't do anything poorly. Like, they're like a right middle of the pack, mediocre team in a soft conference. And, they come out and they absolutely can't be stopped offensively like the Chiefs last week. And then they play a team like Tampa, who has one of the league's worst defenses, and score 1 touchdown. And it was not till the very, very end of the game in garbage time. Like, the Jets don't know who they are week to week.
Do you know what the problem's going to be for the New York Jets in this game? The league's going to screw them.
Well, the league's been and it was nice to see that 2 former VPs of NFL officiating have come out and said, yes, the Jets were that call against Austin Seferian-Jenkins in the Patriots game was terrible. That was clearly a touchdown. And the call against him in the Panthers game was a terrible call. That was clearly a touchdown.
Can I go open the book of apologies where the Chargers were giving bad calls? Like, does that count?
Other teams don't get bad calls, Jeff. It's just the Jets.
I said
fucking
nothing
whiner
of the sort.
Anyway, my pick is Denver because you don't seem to have any clue what the Jets are going to do week to week right now. And I'm not saying I do.
But you feel like you've identified that he doesn't.
Yes.
I like that. Tennessee at Arizona. Arizona 3-point dogs at home. I'm going to keep this one short for you. Stupid Tennessee fucked me last week. Fuck Derrick. I hate Derrick Henry. I hate him.
He should have just gone down.
Yeah, he should have, but he wouldn't. He needs people to look at his stats like next year, like forget that he has these 2 like 80-yard runs at the end of games and be like, Derrick Henry's really good. Derrick Henry's all right, but like screwed me. The Texans had the game covered. They missed 2 field goals in that game. They had a touchdown call back. They should have won that game. Tennessee blows, and it's going to implode at some point. I'm going to start betting against them every week until it happens. Give me Arizona +3.
Here's the consistency about Tennessee. They are very consistent, and I'll tell you when it comes down to.
Being mediocre?
No. Beating who they should beat and losing to who you think they would lose to. That without fail, that is the existence of the Tennessee Titans. I agree with everything you're saying, Pat, but Arizona's a team they should beat, and they always seem to beat the teams they should beat. I have zero confidence in their ability to win a game that Tim thinks they can win in about a month from now. But for the regular season, this just lines up with the Tennessee win.
Agreed. They're the last part of the money line parlay. Give me the Titans. They do enough to get by. That'll be their 9th win. This is a team that I think will be hosting a playoff game in a month or so. And
there are so many people that are making the parlay the other way.
The other way parlay?
It will all pay huge.
Oh, that would pay gigantic.
Well, they pay huge either way.
So you're taking Tennessee +3 or -3?
Indeed.
Jeff, you too?
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't love it. I don't like it.
Tennessee's not going to have an answer for Gabbard.
You could very well be right about that. But like I said, Tennessee consistently beats the teams you think they're going to beat, and they consistently lose to the teams they should lose to.
Smithers, Garbo is coming. Washington at your San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. -6 for the Chargers.
Shall I go first and let Jeff?
We'll make our picks first. I'm taking Washington.
Yeah, there's no team in the league built not to be a favorite more than the Chargers. We saw it last week. We're going to see it again this week. We'll take the Skins to cover.
This is the game that scares me. Not last week. This is the game because this is our look-ahead game. We play the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City on a Saturday the very next week.
Good thing they're not playing the Browns.
Who? The Chargers on a Saturday. Get it? Ha ha ha. I'd love to play the Browns again.
Why? They're going to be 1-12 after this week.
I got it. Okay. Here's the thing. When it comes to Washington, are they done?
I don't think so. They may have never had it to begin with.
No, but from a playoff contention standpoint, do we think they're done?
Yeah, 9 wins can't possibly make the NFC playoffs.
Okay. This is kind of what I'm going on.
Now they're playing spoiler.
No, Washington to me is a very interesting team forgetting the Chargers for a sec. The Redskins as themselves are a very interesting team that I'll be watching closely for the next month because they are done and their quarterback is out the door and knows he's out the door and has been shown no love from the organization.
He might come back. So
I'm curious to see how that plays into playing games that don't mean as much. I did see Kirk Cousins was 2-0 in California this year or something, or on the West Coast, Seattle and the Rams.
He went to the Rams, yeah, and he went to Seattle and beat them.
I gotta think the Chargers.
Cover?
Yeah. The line's already dropped. It's like 5.5.
It was 6 this morning at like 9 a.m.
It's 6 currently on 365.
Yeah.
So you're taking the Chargers.
I think they do cover. I got a question for Tim, though, to sort of piggyback off my issue with him from last week.
Okay.
Rewind this tape all the way to September. He's got the Chargers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
start the
why
season,
now, late in the year, when they've been showing signs of life and being that team that you could argue they always were,
Yeah.
based on how
They just
some
had a
of
bad
those,
kicker.
based on how some of the in-game variances went against them, why he wants no part of them ever?
Because they don't have a path to a wild card, and their only path to the playoffs is the 4 seed, and that means they have to go.
But you picked them to do that. Every other team you picked to do that. Like the Raiders, he picked to do that, have shown nothing, but he's still all about how they can do it. Do I have a legitimate gripe, kind of?
Yeah.
I do not believe the Raiders are going to do it. The Chargers' only hope for the playoffs is to go into Arrowhead next week and win. I don't think they can do that.
But how is that their only hope for the playoffs?
Because if they lose, they're done. They're
but
finished.
If Baltimore plays Pittsburgh next week...
This week, Baltimore plays Pittsburgh this week. Those are two very, very evenly matched. Those are two top 5 teams in the NFL, according to the numbers. I would not in any way I just think...
But I'm just saying, there's no scenario in which the Chargers win this week and Baltimore loses, and therefore a wild card that is impossible to acquire is then very much possible to acquire.
Yeah, but he thinks the Ravens are the best team in the league.
Of course it's possible, but I just don't think...
He just doesn't think it's going to happen.
I don't think the Chargers...
My beef is simple. I'll say it again, is you had this team making the playoffs at the beginning of the year, and now they are that team, and you could argue they've never not been that team based on how much they've competed, even through their start, and you still don't want to give them any, credit.
This is good for you, though. This is helping the Chargers. You know that, right?
Let me put it this way to you. Football Outsiders has their playoff chances. The chances of the Chargers are a wild card team is 3%. The chances the Chargers are a division winner, 30%. That's so their really only path
Guess
to the
what?
playoffs.
He's also picking and choosing the numbers he likes to believe in.
Hold on a second. Because do you know how much time I've spent on that New York Times playoff generator figuring out who I need where and where I need what? And with one click of that button, our percentages raise exponentially. You're just choosing not to click it.
Well, that's a different generator. I was just looking at the Football Outsiders percentage odds. I play with those generators. Listen, I've been doing it the last few days trying to find how I get the Jets in. But it's not
better chance at a wild card, Chargers or Jets?
Chargers.
Well, they'll play each other.
I'm asking him.
Oh.
The insane person.
They play each other in a couple of weeks. I mean, if it was between the two, the Chargers are the better team, I suppose. But
a few weeks ago, though, remember, he said that the Chargers' run ends in New York on Christmas Eve, and now he's saying that the Chargers are a better team. They're probably going to win.
Just because I think they're the better team doesn't mean I think they're going to win that day. Oh. I don't know. Listen, it's not that I don't like the Chargers. It's just that I don't trust them.
I'm just saying, but every other team that you pick to make the playoffs that is now showing life, you are getting behind, except the Chargers.
You want this? I'm telling you.
That's all.
This is the best news for them.
I trust Kansas City. I don't trust the Chargers. And that's just how it is. I'm sorry. I'm still all in on the Chiefs. Everyone wants to sell Chiefs stock. I want to buy.
And here's the thing. Because he was off them at the beginning of the year. He said they'd be the worst team in football. Now, all of a sudden, he's all in on the Chiefs, who have shown no signs of life.
Who are literally on the brink of completely falling off that cliff. And here's... It bothers me a lot to break down how he breaks it down.
You have 3 teams in the hunt for the AFC West. One team is coached by a competent professional NFL coach. The other 2 teams are coached by either greenhorns or people who aren't qualified for their job.
I think Anthony Lynn has been outstanding. How can you give a coach no credit? Hold on. How can you give a coach zero?
The Patriots game.
Okay, fine. You're right. There have been some things that really bugged me, and I'll own that. And if I met him, I'd say it to his face. That being said, you want to give a coach no credit for starting 0-4, and every other team in this league would have just packed it in. And
they do deserve credit. I think that he is in the conversation, or he would be in the conversation for Coach of the Year, even though he has no chance to win it.
We all know Todd Bowles is Coach of the Year, right?
I'd be listen. I wouldn't be upset in the least if the Chargers made it. It'd be great. I'd be happy for you if the Chargers made the playoffs. But what I owe to the listener is what I think is going to happen.
Yes,
and what I think
fair.
is going to happen in my gut is that the Chiefs are going to prevail next week, and that will end the division because they'll win this week and next week, and then it's over. That's what I think.
It's just over. The team that's just lost 3 straight games to the Jets, the Bills.
If they win this
Giants.
week and next week, they clinch everything, and I think that's what will happen. They're at Arrowhead for these 2 games. The league has set up them to have 2 big games.
My issue is you keep referencing like this math, but like I said, this math is so. I don't want to call it subjective, but
1 week changes all the numbers.
But not only that, there's momentum that the math isn't acknowledging, that he thinks doesn't mean anything.
Unless it pertains to something that he likes, then he's all over that concept.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I believe my, like, golf analogy of that, like, leaderboard and how, like, that guy that had a 5-stroke lead an hour ago that's now all squared, I don't want to bet that guy to win the tournament anymore. And that's what he's, like, vouching for Kansas City in that scenario.
He's the guy who bets on Charlie Hoffman on Sunday, is what you're saying.
Yeah, when Fowler ties it. Yeah.
Or Charlie Hoffman anytime he has a lead on Sunday, and he always comes second.
Sure. Because, yeah.
I like Charlie Hoffman.
I do too.
Maybe that's why he sucks so much at winning.
Whatever.
All right.
Like, I think Geoff makes a very strong case. I'm not going to try to argue against it. I'm just saying that the Chargers still have all their work cut out for them. Now, if they win next week, everything changes. You know, then they've got then it's probably slightly better than a coin flip that they'll win the division. But that loss to the Chiefs in week 3 or 4 looms large over that division.
Listen, it's all in the eye of the beholder. I scenario generate, and it tells me 85% the way I click it. Okay, bud?
you keep the Chargers win these games.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I've had the Jets making the playoffs the last 10 times I played the NFL playoff machine, but that's because I have them winning games that I just think, oh, we'll get the Saints next week. Oh, we'll get the Chargers. Oh, the Patriots will have nothing to play for.
Can we please move on?
Please.
Game of the week. Philly at the Rams. Philly got humbled a little bit last week. Another thing I was just dead wrong about, Tim was right about. The weekend, it was all Cust all the time. I'm telling you, the Anderkers on vacation or was too busy focusing on John B. Anderson. Either way, Seattle covers and wins as the home dogs on Sunday night. Philly gets a taste of reality for the first time in a while. And they could be in store for another thing here. One thing that the Rams really do much better than Seattle, and Seattle actually showed really signs of life of doing it last week, and I think it has to do with the offensive line in Philly, that really good offensive lines that also have like a decent offense that can keep the Eagles off the field for bits and pieces. I think they're going to give the Eagles a lot of trouble, and the Rams are going to bring it to Wentz this week. And I think that their offense can look pretty good here.
I made a decision a few weeks ago. If the Rams are in a spot at home or in a non-hostile road environment where they can communicate on offense, nothing stops that point per game. Nothing.
But
even when they go on
the Eagles could outscore them is the thing.
Sure, absolutely. But I'm going to bank on the Rams at home. The Eagles, they're practicing.
They stayed on the West Coast.
Yeah, they stayed at the West Coast there because Mike Trout's an Eagles fan. So like
Trout.
He got the Angels to put goalposts in their stadium. Maybe they're playing a bowl game there next month for college. I don't know. But that's where the Eagles have been practicing. And something we didn't talk about a moment ago, but I don't really know because I don't want to look. There's some crazy fires happening in Los Angeles that I don't know if they're going to affect one or both of those games being played at West on Sunday.
I honestly don't know about that either. Tim, do you know?
No, I mean, fires looked terribly, terribly bad yesterday, but
I know it's
so far today I haven't seen any further updates to say things are getting worse. So I will plead ignorance on that.
For the time being, I know so far it has had a much more effect on the Rams than it has on the Chargers just based on the locations. That being said, I'm still on the Rams. I don't see their point per game offense shifting, and so I'm banking on them making the play that keeps Wentz in check.
But this way, if you believe in Philly, they don't need to win this game in order to make it happen. But if you ever won...
But the bye is intense right now.
Yeah, that's
and
okay,
the Saints win on tonight.
All I'm saying is that if you still believe in the Eagles and you want to bet them to win the Super Bowl, bet them if they lose this game. It shouldn't change your opinion. The Rams are a good team. They present a tough matchup for the Eagles, and the Eagles, on adjustment, if they play them again in the playoffs, could have it completely figured out. And the big thing is the pressure that Philly is able to get, which kind of masks that their secondary isn't the best, but their secondary looks really good because it's a lot like the Chargers in a way. Like, is Casey Hayward the best defender?
No.
He's not.
I don't know that there's 5 corners just off the top of my head that I would rather have
he's very good, but he's also made to look a lot better when the quarterback has 2 seconds to throw.
I watch breakdowns of this, Pat. Like, every time, like, who the Chargers are playing, that quarterback's launch angle is affected on half the passes.
And we're seeing it with Case Keenum in Minnesota. Now that the Minnesota offensive line has been really good this year, and we're seeing it with Jared Goff that the Rams offensive line is really good. He has time to throw. And yeah, they're missing Robert Woods. Robert Woods has been a very effective part of their offense, but I think they can get it done here. And I think that Gurley ends up with until the Eagles figure out what they're doing in their backfield and lean on one of these guys and develop some consistency there. There's also not going to be Zach Ertz in this game, it looks like. Just give me the Rams at home. Tim?
I will also say quickly for the Eagles, I don't think people should panic yet, to your point.
Even if they lose this game.
It didn't happen with Dallas last year. And I begged to Cowboy fans, you want to lose it before like, you want to lose. You want to lose. You've got to get, like, refocused, and things just can't be perfect heading into the playoffs. They can't be. So if the Eagles lose one or another one here, to your point, doesn't mean a thing if you back them.
Yeah, if you believe, keep believing, even if they lose.
And it's better. It is better to sort of get that our shit does stink a little bit.
Yeah, we need to fix some stuff here. We need to get better.
Because it didn't happen to the Cowboys, and it cost them huge in the postseason, in my opinion.
Tim?
I have total faith in the Eagles. They've been my Super Bowl pick for weeks. I'm not shaken from that. It's funny, last week's game turned when Wentz fumbled the ball on the goal line. I think if he scores there, that game is wholly different. Even though they lost by 14, I watched a lot of that game too. I think that was a closer game than that. I mean, all props to Seattle. I mean, I thought Seattle would cover when they did, but that's the game that Philly dropped. They're a good team. They come back. I trust Philly more than I trust the Rams, even though I think they're two amazing teams. Of course, by the numbers, they're the two best teams in football. It's a close one. So in this sense, I'll take the points. I'd rather be getting 2.5 than laying 2.5 in the end. However, were I to bet this game, I think I would buy the hook and get Philly +3.
Okay. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh at home on Sunday night. 4.5 points. They're without Juju Smith.
We missed an afternoon game.
What?
The Hawks and Jaguars.
Oh, God.
Wow. Also, quickly, the Eagles, to Tim's point, outgained Seattle by over 100 yards.
And Wentz had Wentz had perhaps the play of the year when he was falling down and threw the ball sidearm 50 yards on a dime. Unbelievable.
Sounds like 3 plays Russell Wilson makes every week.
Yeah, Russell Wilson sucks though.
Russell Wilson
sucks. He sucks. He's not as good as Carson Wentz or Andy Dalton, according to Tim.
Wilson, Wentz, or Brady.
Or Tom Savage.
Any of those three are the MVP, and I'd have no argument with it.
What about Antonio Brown?
He's in the conversation too, but they won't give it to a receiver, even though if they should.
Todd Gurley, I think, is probably in the mix for that.
I would vote Hunter Henry, but that's just me.
All right. So Seattle at Jacksonville. What's the line in this game?
I am currently looking at the Jaguars laying 2.5 into the Seahawks.
It keeps dropping.
Give me the Jags. Saxonville, Tim. What you gonna do, brother, when the no offensive line Seattle Seahawks try to run wild on Saxonville? Nothing.
My least favorite point about this game is how experts on these talking head Sunday morning shows will be talking about Jacksonville like winning in some kind of like upset.
It's a 2.5. It's a close game. It's 2.5 points.
That's what infuriates me. Like I'll be yelling at the TV. They're the favorite, but just the talking head.
Oh, so you think it's gonna be one of those like, oh, here is Marshall Faulk's upset pick. Oh, he's taking the Jags. It's like, oh, but they're favored.
Yeah, kind of. That kind of happens a lot. Just when more named teams and franchises play lesser thans.
The coin likes Seattle, and Tim, I know you like Seattle.
Yeah, I certainly do. Even though this is one of the longest trips the team can make, it's a 5:00 game, not an early game, so I like that.
5:00 game.
I like.
Did you show up to the stadium an hour late last week?
Yeah, somebody made that joke, and I had a good guffaw about it. Whatever. I like Seattle's playing good ball right now. Jacksonville's what they are. I mean, they're a bland team that crushes bad teams, but I'd like to see them put up here against a really good team. I think they're overmatched. I think Seattle is the sharp side, and I think Seattle is the right side. So that's the way I'd play it.
Jacksonville only beats bad teams like the Super Bowl Ravens and the Super Bowl Steelers and all the teams that you really like here, Tim.
They lost to the Jets. I'll just put it out there.
They beat the Chargers. That's true.
Well, that one still haunts me more than any of the others. I'm going to take Seattle here blindly on you're giving me points with Russell Wilson versus Blake. I know this is such a dumb move. This is how like someone's dad in Vegas. would
That's
bet
not
the
a bad
game.
idea, though. The team with the far superior quarterback is the right side.
Like,
That's usually the right
I
call.
get like how there's just that guy in Vegas that doesn't really bet or watch a ton of football is going to see it on the board and be like, "I'll take Russell."
Isn't that what worries
over
you
Blake
about this line, though?
Bortles. No, because there is like a national. The football fan is very much in with the Jaguars.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No,
They're
they
the
aren't. People are
trendy
in with
hot
Russell Wilson as the MVP.
Okay,
Not
well-
Jacksonville's really good.
Should I be
They're
worried?
last year's Raiders. Everyone wants to see the Jaguars do well, right? They're like
What's-
America's second favorite team this year. That's just how it is.
Who are you talking to that's saying this, honestly? Have you
Everyone
met
you
anyone who's saying this?
America's second favorite.
Yeah,
team.
because your favorite team is first, whoever you cheer for, and like seems like Jacksonville is like everyone's second favorite. And
I
it's
would
they're
say
like-
that
they're like the
more
Villa.
people have not watched a second of Jacksonville football this year that are
Okay.
proclaiming them the team that they're
And
rooting for.
what did Jacksonville do again last week? They killed it with a fake punt. They've got like 45-yard, maybe even to the house, fake punts this year.
their reckoning is coming.
This is why Jacksonville's doing really well.
Maybe.
Just they're
What-
so anti-Andrew Kirst, it's unbelievable.
What is comical, in my opinion, about Tim is how the Titans are like foolproof, but the Jags, the reckoning is coming. They're almost the same. Like
Except Jacksonville does something really awesome, and
Yes.
Tennessee just sucks.
I hate this Jacksonville.
Who's
team.
honest question, Tim? Who's better, Mariota or Bortles? Because they look
Mariota's-
exactly the same.
Mariota's much better.
Is he? What would
He's
lead
not-
you to believe that Mariota is much
he
better?
could run for a first down.
So can Bortles.
He can
Tennessee
throw
is-
accurately
is-
moving.
Can he?
So,
He can
more-
throw.
more
It seems
accurate.
like Mariota's pretty good at throwing accurately to the other team. At least Bortles doesn't even pass anymore.
I'm not. I don't want to get involved in that. Seattle, though, I'll be the sucker. I'll take points.
You're all suckers. Jacksonville's the play there. -2.5. All right, Sunday nighter. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 4.5.
Up to 5 now.
There was an early line. This was flirting like a 6.5, 7.
But
apparently
Juju
last week.
Smith-Schuster isn't playing, so how could the Steelers win against the best team in football, the Ravens?
No, these are, like I said, by the numbers, the 4 and 5 team overall. It's a very, very good game between two very, very good football teams. Teams that historically, even though they didn't in week 3 or 4 when they played, have a history of playing very close games. I see no reason why this won't be a close game between two really fascinating, interesting football teams. The Steelers have one of the best offenses in football. The Ravens have, by quite a stretch now, the best defense in football. So that makes it a very fascinating matchup on that side of the ball. The Steelers also have a great defense. The Ravens' offense is troubling. So I think the Steelers will win the game. But because you're giving me the 4.5, I will take the Ravens.
Here's the problem. Jimmy Smith out for the year with the Achilles injury is a
That
really
probably means nothing to Tim, though.
it doesn't.
No,
but
that's a really important loss.
it's a really big deal for their defense and what they want to accomplish, and being the number one defense and being just lights out at all facets, all 3 levels of the defense. And now they're not quite as much. But Ryan Shazier no longer on the Pittsburgh side of the ball. However, I think a downgrade in defense really benefits the Steelers' offense because, I don't know, me and you could be out there against Joe Flacco and he could score like 10 points.
Pittsburgh's been incredibly frustrating, especially to people that back them. I don't think I've had money on them, but I keep coming on this show thinking that
We just saw Pittsburgh in this spot 2 weeks ago lay an egg and have to squeak
But
by
what do you
Tampa
mean?
Bay.
What about last week? Well, you could say the exact same spot.
At least they were on the road last
Okay,
week.
Fair.
Now they're back
And
at
if you
home.
Ever wanted to say there's a look-ahead game? I mean, boy, oh boy, this is
Yeah,
it.
ugh, that bugs me too. I wanted Pittsburgh to lose on Monday because I wanted them to have no wiggle room to lose this football game. I will agree with Tim, or finally give Tim credit in the sense that
Hey,
I will agree that Baltimore is a teams don't want to play more than the Chargers.
I disagree. I think that
Well, now the Jimmy Smith injury.
I didn't care about the Jimmy Smith injury. Just that you want to see Joe Flacco coming into your stadium in January. You really do. He's
you
terrible.
also want
He's awful.
Okay, fine. I agree, but one team can't kick a field goal, and the other team has Justin.
That's true.
Tucker
The
in a
best player
playoff
for the
game.
Ravens is their kicker. That's somewhat problematic.
It's problematic, but it's awesome at the same time. Like it's a.
And without Juju Smith-Schuster, you're going to see more Antonio Brown getting the ball, more Le'Veon Bell getting the ball.
Martavius.
Martavis will do his thing, but just give Bell 30 touches. You're going to win.
Pittsburgh shows up. Pittsburgh wins.
Tim said Le'Veon Bell wouldn't try hard in a contract year. That was a hot take from the beginning
Not
of
what
the
I
season.
said. I said if he got a hurt.
Mike Tomlin, though, he's created some issues because he is sort of like been talking over Baltimore's heads and just kind of like, we're not playing the Patriots next
Well, I
week.
mean, they always have the really X factor in this game that if like Alex Collins breaks one down the sideline, Mike Tomlin just might come out and trip him. And that always works.
Really,
I mean, the
really.
Steelers could also, something that can be said about last Monday's game is that Pittsburgh took a physical beating in their bodies. On a short week, we'll see how well they recoup from just absolutely going into a grinder against Cincinnati, now playing another hard-hitting rival in the Bengals, the Ravens. So that's not to be overlooked.
I don't want to bet this game, but if I got to pick it, it's 27-20 Steelers.
So
2017 Steelers.
you two and the coiner all going Baltimore? All
No,
right.
I just said 27-20 Steelers.
Oh, I thought you said, sorry. I thought you said 23-20. So you and I are both on Pittsburgh, Baltimore for Tim and the coin.
I think that's a lot.
Yeah, we do have a lot this week.
Of
Yeah,
me
we
and you.
diverged a lot around the middle here.
I feel like you and Tim are very opposite.
We're opposite
Well,
every
it's
week.
chance
That's
for me
the
to put
whole
this
point of the show.
Chance for me to put this contest away this week.
He said this. Okay, this what he said. He says this all the time. He had like a 3-game lead going in over me. I think last year going into week 17. He's like, "Well, how could you ever make up 3 games in 1 week?" I think I won by 4 games.
Yeah, I got screwed.
Always.
The league ripped him off. But he thinks like a 3-game lead in the picks contest for the year is insurmountable. Although he made up 4 games on me last week. He likes the math, though. He really believes in the math. He understands it quite well. New England at Miami. Miami is an 11-point underdog at home against the Patriots, who will be without Rob Gronkowski. Unfortunately for Miami, as Tim mentioned, they're not very good. That's a problem.
Dwayne Allen 3 TD game?
Dwayne Allen 0 catches. Dwayne Allen sucks. New England's going to cover. They keep covering these big spreads every single week.
I don't even have anything to say.
But people are going to get into the narrative, oh, Tom Brady really struggles in Miami. And you know what? If that's what you're going with and it works, all the power to you. But New England's a far superior team. Offensively, on special teams, defensively. The only points they were really able to score in this game like 2 weeks ago is when Brady wasn't paying attention to a snap. And Miami fell on it in the end zone, and they still didn't cover the 16.5.
I will give Miami credit, not even credit, but they did a good job last game they played a couple weeks ago being very physical with Brady.
How did that work out? They couldn't
No,
cover
they got
16.5
killed.
points.
So I guess if I'm like a Steeler fan and I got to play the Patriots next week, I'm like, okay, do the same thing again. Just be really physical with the guy, but it's not going to make a difference. I don't even – what do you even break down? What do you even break – like, what's there even to break down here?
Maybe Miami comes out and runs the Wildcat again, and maybe they win that way. Coin likes New England. Tim, who are you taking?
Taking the fish. It's the first time in a while I actually haven't taken New England against the spread.
You're a fish.
I think there's exigent circumstances. And we talk about look-ahead games. Well, the Patriots have a look-ahead as well.
Do the Patriots have look-ahead games?
If they have to go into Heinz Field for the championship game, they're going to lose. If they get to host it, they're going to go to the Super Bowl sort of thing. Like, they know how critical next week's game is.
Well, here's the hold on one second. Does Pittsburgh ever beat New England?
Pardon me. They seem to play every year in the playoffs, as last year. They seem to play always in Foxborough. So I think putting the Patriots on the road in the playoffs is one of the ways you're going to beat them. Unless you're the Jets and Mark Sanchez or the Ravens, it's hard to beat the Patriots at home. Here's the deal. I mean, because they're going to have a short week going into that game against the Steelers, I think that this is just try to get by and get through this game with a W. They don't even need the win, because if they beat Pittsburgh next week, then they're in fine shape. Like, it's a game for which New England has no stakes, for which Miami really has no stakes. Yeah, I mean, mathematically they can make it. It's unlikely. I mean, both teams have very little to play for in this game. And when that's the case, 11 points in a divisional game just seems like a touch too much. So I'll take the Miami Dolphins, with the least amount of confidence.
I'm not going to – I mean, it is a division game Monday night, a lot of points, sure, road game. But in terms of your point and look-aheads and things and how that could affect the Patriots, very simply, this was asked to Bill Belichick yesterday. With all you have accomplished in your coaching career, what is left that you still want to accomplish? Belichick's answer: I'd like to go out there and have a good practice today. That would be on the top of my list right now.
What a charming fellow.
He's more charming than you.
I'm just saying, like, there's nothing look ahead about anything ever with this team.
Put it this way.
Seems.
Again, if you could go 0-16 over the next 41 consecutive seasons and still have a better winning percentage than Hugh Jackson and Gus Bradley, by the way, you don't have look-ahead games. You just win all the time. And then you win by lots. And as much as you want to say this game doesn't matter because if they beat Pittsburgh next week anyway, it's not that big of a deal because they'd still get the tiebreaker. What if they win this game, lose next week, and then Pittsburgh randomly loses again? You want to win these games, Tim. It doesn't work out all the way that you think it does.
My point was not that they're going to try to not win. Like, don't misconstrue me. I'm merely saying that the intensity for this game is not nearly as high. The stakes
Just
are not
because
as high.
you're the type of person that would have look-ahead situations doesn't mean the Patriots are.
Fine.
Yeah, and I would argue maybe if this was Sunday at 1 o'clock, maybe. But Monday night, you're going to tell me these
Monday
guys aren't intense, like playing Monday night football.
I think it's
like
Monday
I get the Patriots
like
are used to that sort of.
So are the
position.
Dolphins. This is like their 4th primetime game in 5 weeks.
Yeah, we've been subjected to a lot of Dolphins. Here's the thing: Tom Brady in his career covers spreads just a hair under 60%. I get what Tim's saying, but I don't really have anything to the table that makes me want to go against just Tom and 60%.
Tom terrific. Plus 11 for you.
Minus 11.
Minus 11.
Yeah.
Plus 11, you'd probably take that too, right?
Yeah.
How come this isn't on your free money line parlay, Tim?
Well, because I'm not that confident in it. But I mean, listen, I watched the Dolphins play just about a perfect football game last week, minus that one interception. So they can't play that. If they played
Versus
that
the team
well,
that
they would
lost
beat
7
them,
in a row. Perfect game against a team without a quarterback that took 2 safeties that
That's
did
what I mean.
everything
That's
wrong.
But Denver always beats New England, though, Jeff.
I'm just
better
saying-
than New England.
I'm just pointing out all the things Denver did bad that he pointed out as to why the Jets would beat them. So, like, how much credit do we then give the Dolphins for last week's game? That being said, Tim, I'm more concerned. What is the payout on this parlay?
Oh, I can find out for you very quickly.
Has he done it yet? Because
No, of
I'm
course
going to
he
guess,
hasn't.
what do you think, like 30-1 or more?
With these coin flip games, I'd say like 45-1. He's just trying. He's taking Hail Mary shots here. You should stick to the teasers that pay just over like even money. You tend to win those ones. When you start going crazy like this, you lose. This is where all your money's been lost this year.
I know
Did
what
Seattle make his parlay?
What's that?
No,
Seattle
did
didn't.
not
It
make-
was so the free money teaser of the week for Tim.
Parlay
is-
pays $22.59 plus $22.59.
It's Cincinnati, Cleveland, San Francisco, the New York Jets, and Tennessee Titans on the money line. And that plays what plus what?
Plus $22.50. Plus $22.59.
So 22.5-1 if this parlay hits. What does it pay on the other side? The anti-Cust parlay. That's what I'm more concerned about. So the Bears. We got the Bears. We got the Packers. We got the Texans. We got the Broncos. And we have the Cardinals. That pays $22.50 as well. So it pays the same either way you want to play it. SUPERLOCKS.
No, it doesn't.
What does it pay?
It pays 39-1.
Oh, sorry, I was doing the spreads. That's my bad. I wasn't doing the money
no,
lines.
it
Oh,
pays
so it pays almost double. You know what? I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play that right now. This worked out last time I did this on the show, by the way. I played the anti-Cust parlay. It worked out perfectly.
There have been a couple anti-cuts that have hit this year. We usually get tweeted winning tickets.
Yeah. So minus 170. This is just thrilling here. Give me your super lock, Tim.
New York Jets. We're going to absolutely destroy the Broncos. Plus, I've had really good luck picking the Jets with super locks this year. The Jets are a good team. The Broncos are perhaps the worst team or amongst the, well, not possibly. They are amongst the worst team, not the worst team in football. Jumbo Jets get to 6-7, everything on the line against the Saints next week. Maybe we pull off the upset then too.
Jeff?
I hate this. I hate this so much, but Tennessee.
Yeah.
I like that. That's in the consideration. I like it.
Tennessee minus 3 on the road.
Oh, I'm throwing up in my mouth.
Ooh, my $20 bet pays $800.
Just before you bet the Titans, look at my super lock record.
Yeah. The 5-8 on the year. Tim is 6-1. I am 8-5. I need to get a win
So
here.
you're dormy.
I am. But
Guaranteed a
I
dormy
need to
year.
get there though. I've been dormy for 2 weeks. I was 8-3. Now I'm
that's
8-5. The losses are starting to pile up, and I don't feel really strongly about one game this week. I almost want to take Green Bay just because Tim's so confident in the Browns. I will take. I like the Rams. I like the Cardinals at home. I like the Chiefs. I like Green Bay. I like the Giants. I will take my least confident one of the year. The New York Giants +4 at home. That is.
Good. I knew you didn't have the guts to take the Packers.
How much do you want to bet on that game?
We can talk about it offline.
No, we'll talk about it right now.
No, I'm going to back off.
Why? It's just like when you wouldn't bet me with Sammy Watkins last week.
Yeah, and I was every part of my analysis was dead right. I was concerned about my own sense of success.
Well, no,
Like
you think that Cleveland's going to win this game. I think that Green Bay is going to win.
It's a good example. We were playing blackjack this weekend, and we had been at the table for like 2.5 hours, and the dealer had not once had a face card underneath with an ace or an ace underneath with a face card. And then I decided for some reason to say, she hasn't had an ace she hasn't had it all day. And the whole table screamed at me. And the very next hand I got blackjack, she showed an ace and I took even money.
Did she have it?
No, she did not, but I was concerned about it.
Oh, so you think that the curse is real?
No, I just didn't want to deal with the fallout of she having had it.
Yeah, but it was just your money. No one else had. Did anyone else take insurance like a loser?
No, the only time you should take even money is on, or insurance / even money is, of course, on a blackjack.
You know what taking insurance is? Even money on a blackjack bet, Tim? For losers. Sissies. Get some guts, you loser.
I almost always take even money on my blackjacks.
Yeah, because you have no guts. You're gutless. Gutless.
Depends. Okay. Sometimes I'll take it.
Yeah, it depends on how down you are and how big that bet is.
That's exactly true.
The bigger the bet, the more likely you are to take it, I suppose.
But like, if you're not doing well, you can't watch that card turn over. If you're having a bad run and you got like free money in front of you, you gotta
get your money off the table. Exactly.
You would say you're an idiot.
No. Listen. I'm not really gonna kill you about taking your even money on a blackjack when you have it, but like. Oh, you're throwing half your bet down the tubes there. You could win that.
Yeah, no, the books are happy to give it to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're going to lose.
You'll lose it eventually. I would, at least.
No, it's still a push. Anyway, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Follow Geoff on Twitter at GFienberg17. And, of course, you can always follow on Twitter Tim and Cust.
Tim and Cust.
That is not my name.
Heard it was. And your Twitter account.
No, my Twitter account's at TimAnderson87. You know, because I spend half my day hyping up people to go on iTunes and give this show comments.
Yeah, now no one's done it because you cursed it.
I take no responsibility for that.
Also, I want to see that video of you hanging lights for real. No help from your dad either.
Well, I mean, but we've already got the Christmas lights at the house strong.
Okay, here we go.
Well, it's December 7th.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you if they went up before December 1st, you'd have a real problem with people putting lights up in November, too.
I don't have a problem with them putting lights up. I have a problem with them turning lights on before December 1st.
So you're not going to do it. You're just going to be a coward. You're going to talk this big game about how people shouldn't use these lights, and you're too much of a coward to put up lights yourself because you can't do it.
Because the house is already decorated.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Go help out your neighbors. Get butts to film it. I'm dead serious.
Well, I could do this, but it would be very difficult, you see, because you'd have to find the opportunity. But you can be sure I would know how. Stringing lights is not that complicated. Come on now. Give me a little bit more credit than that.
You're not getting more credit. Jeff, do you think you could do it?
I don't. I do zero assembly required.
And I would peg you on, like, the skill level of assembling things and, like, manual labor. I would put you above Tim.
Put it this way. I got a big task coming up as I'm going to attempt to put together, like, a toy kitchen for my daughter. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the things. So, that, to me, that'll be my goal. I will not be getting on a ladder.
Can I get 2-to-1 that you end up paying anyone to do it for you?
It's possible. But my I don't even want to say it. My wife can be better with, like, a hammer than I can. It's not my fun. My dad was also no assembly required. I couldn't get toys as a kid that required like being put together. Because no one could do it in the house.
I've been looking into taking a handyman course.
Well, you need one just to get up to like the bottom level.
I'm a little higher than that, but I'd like to.
You also need to take a driving course so you don't drive 10 miles under the speed limit at all times.
I do the speed limit, which is the post, and that is maximum speed at optimum conditions.
Coward. You don't have the guts to do anything.
I like to follow the rules.
Yeah. No one succeeded by following the rules, Tim. Look at the New England Patriots.
That's true. They break the rules on a game basis.
And look at the Super Bowls that came along with it.
Yeah, well, okay.
I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at the PME on Twitter. You can subscribe to the award-nominated Pat Mayo Experience on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Audio Boom. And for all the video version up on the Draftkings YouTube page, follow my Facebook feed, facebook.com/thepme for the entire cheat sheet for this show if you want to see all of our picks. All right, good luck in Week 14. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.